Good afternoon. For my developmental psychology project, I decided to work with how young children pick up skills when they're at a tender age, and a lot of my work actually deals with Vygotsky's work on zone of proximal development, uh, and so I constructed a basic diagram. I apologize, it's a bit unclear. I couldn't scale it, but basically, it deals with how social interactions actually uh, spearhead the learning process for children. And the learning process always deals with the MKD, which actually stands for a more knowledgeable other. And then there's a specific zone of proximal development which a child can, with assistance, achieve. And for this, I first interviewed Nico Christian, who is a cello player and an aspiring music major.
So when I was young, my mom introduced me to The Cure and Jimi Hendrix. And so from that point, I wanted to take music on into my own hands. And then starting in middle school, I actually started to learn the cello, which is a great instrument. My teacher started with the basics, so the first four notes on one string, we kept going over those fundamentals. And then once we got those down, we moved on to the next string and then started shifting and then started uh, other techniques on the cello. And so from all the basics, from anything that we learned, we started with those first four notes or that first scale and then worked on that as we developed our techniques. And then also one of the best parts of orchestra was the fact that we went to go see actual orchestras play in my hometown, and it was a great experience.
Okay, and out of your previous music experience, so as a kid, when you were learning to play the cello, like when you still listen to music or you play music, do you still kind of um, fall back to concepts of how you developed the skill as a kid? Does that still run through your mind?
Yes. So when I listen to music nowadays, I definitely take in not just the lyrics or just the sound of the music or the instruments, but I take in the whole performance itself, the meaning behind it, and things like that. So when I find a song I really like, I want to find out the instrument that's used, the scale that was used, the variations, or the way that they found, or the way that they made the song.
The next few slides that I adapted from a learning website on YouTube gives a good visual understanding of how the ZPD actually works, of something that a child doesn't know, and what he does know, and how the assisting process actually works in the middle. And when you ask of how the zone of proximal development can actually be fulfilled, it's again interesting to see how a more knowledgeable other can attach his meaning to what a child sees while picking up a skill. And also, all learning actually goes through a central neoformation, according to which teachers try to produce variations and produce transient neoformations according to what the child already knows. And this is a kind of cognitive modeling that actually works well when a child is picking up a skill. And now I interview a tennis player, Andrew, and he gives his idea on how his teacher made him pick the skill up of tennis. And it's also interesting that this learning method is actually what makes a child learn speech and other linguistic attributes.
What's up? So I first started playing tennis when I was 7 with my dad, and the first kind of shot I learned was the forehand, which is with your dominant hand. And I really learned the fundamentals with my forehand, and then once I got those down, I started developing other shots in my game. So from there I worked on my backhand, which is on the left side of my body, and after kind of getting those shots down and really getting a feel for how to hit a tennis ball, I started working on my serve. And the serve's a trickier shot, so I first started working on that with kind of a similar shot to the forehand, but just a little bit of a variation. And then as I started getting that down, I moved on to hitting a overhead serve, and I'd kind of alternate between the two until I got it down. I would say, of course, it definitely affects me. I mean, I think how you first learn how to play, the fundamentals you first learn, those are ingrained in you. And I think definitely when I'm playing and something's not going well or something feels a bit off, I always go back to maybe what I first learned, and subconsciously, yeah, or even
Through this project,
consciously.
it was really cool to kind of get behind the psychology on how children pick up skills at a young age, or how cognitive techniques are used to make children learn specific skills. And it was definitely a great learning experience for me. Thank you for watching, and look forward to your projects.